Welcome to Kelsey's Collection WAG wine cabinet instruction video. In this video we will be going through steps for assembling the WAG wine cabinet. In step 1 we are inserting the cam rods and wood dowels into their respective holes on the side panel frames. The cam rods here are being inserted with a screw gun, but a normal screwdriver would work just fine. The wood dowels are simply pressed into place in their respective holes. There are 10 cam rods for each side frame, 6 for the front, 2 on the back side, and 2 on the bottom. Repeat this step, installing the cam rods and wood dowels in the other side frame. Some of the Giclée art panels come pre-installed. If your art Giclée panels are not pre-installed, simply place the edge of the art in the mortised edge of the side panel and lower into place. Rotate the clip over the panel and tighten, but not too tight. Work your way around the panel, rotating and tightening all the clips, but once again, not too tight. Next, we begin construction on the middle panel assembly. We want to start by attaching the cam rods to the middle panel frame supports. When inserting cam rods, make sure they are straight and not too deep. If they are seated too deeply, the cam locks will not engage properly and you will need to back them out a bit. Now we want to attach the first middle panel frame support to the middle panel. We begin by attaching only one middle panel frame support. It is attached as shown here with 30mm screws. With one middle panel frame support attached, turn this assembly over with the one middle panel frame support on top. Insert wood dowels into the felted barrel rest and insert the barrel rest into the first middle panel frame support. With the barrel rest in place, we are now ready to attach the other middle panel frame support. With the barrel rest and both middle panel frame supports in place, insert the cam locks into the cam lock holes provided on the barrel rest. Usually about a quarter turn clockwise should get them tight. As I mentioned earlier in the video, if a cam rod is screwed in a little too deeply, it can be difficult for the cam lock to grab the cam rod to tighten it correctly. This is the case we have here in tightening the second cam lock. As you can see here, we simply back out the cam rod a small amount. By backing out the cam rod just a bit, it will cause the cam rod to be in the correct position to accept the cam lock. With this small adjustment, it now tightens properly. The next thing we want to do is to turn this assembly back over and finish attaching the middle panel frame support with 30mm screws. A helpful hint when attaching the screws is to line up one end properly and screw that down. Then go to the other end and screw that end in place. After you have each end fastened down, then come back and fasten the other screws which are between the two ends. At this point in the assembly, this is what your middle panel should look like, with the middle panel frame supports and felted barrel rest attached. The next step is attaching the bottom cross rails to the bottom panel. Begin this by inserting 2 cam rods into each bottom cross rail. Next, take the cross rail and insert the cam rods into the bottom panel and tighten the cam locks as we are doing here. Now you can attach the other bottom cross rail the same way, and you will want to make sure that as you are attaching the bottom cross rails that they are flush with the felted side of the bottom panel. And here is what the bottom panel looks like with the bottom cross rails attached. Now we are going to attach the bottom panel and the middle panel to the side panel. First we place the bottom panel on the bottom of the side panel, inserting the cam rods and wood dowels that were installed earlier. Do not tighten the cam locks yet. When placing the middle panel, note that the felted barrel rest will be on the same side as the felted bottom panel. Slide the middle panel support frame through the notch in the bottom panel. You may need to gently lift up on the bottom panel while inserting the support frame, and this is why we didn't tighten the cam locks earlier. With the middle panel in position, go ahead and tighten the cam locks. In the next step, we will be attaching the back wine racks, the narrow and wide shelves, and the two top cross rails. We will begin with the back wine racks. The middle panel has pre-drilled holes, and the back wine rack has a pilot hole on its backside to assist in attaching it to the middle panel. Each back wine rack is attached with 3 30mm screws. Attach the second back wine rack in the same way. Next, we will be attaching the drawer stop to the underside of the wide shelf. This is attached with a 13mm wood screw. Attach the drawer stop in the middle between the two cam lock holes as shown. With the drawer stop installed, place the wide shelf in place, inserting the cam rod on the side frame into the shelf. With the side frame sitting in place, go to the back side of the middle panel and attach the wide shelf to the middle panel with 3 20mm bolts. These 20mm bolts can be fastened easily with a Phillips screwdriver. And remember, snug is good, but do not over-tighten. With the metal inserts on the back edge of the shelf, this provides an excellent connection with metal-to-metal contact. Now we come back to the front of the wide shelf and attach it to the side frame with a cam lock. Now we will install the narrow shelf in the same manner as we installed the wide shelf. Note the cam lock holes on the wide shelf and the cam lock holes on the narrow shelf will be facing each other when properly installed. Again, go to the back side and attach the narrow shelf using 3 20mm bolts. Now we come back again to the front of the narrow shelf and attach it to the side frame with a cam lock. Now we will be attaching the two front wine racks to the side panel using cam rods and wood dowels. A helpful hint is to insert the cam locks into the front wine racks before positioning them on the side panel. With cam locks inserted, lower front wine racks into place on the side frame and tighten cam locks when in position. With the cam locks tightened on the front wine racks, we are now ready to attach the top cross rails. The top cross rails go into place the same way we just attached the front wine racks. Again, we are using a cam rod and a wood dowel for each cross rail. When positioned in place, simply tighten the cam locks inserted into the cross rails. Okay, so let's take a quick moment and see where we are at. We have attached the bottom panel and middle panel to the side frame, and it should look like this at this stage. Now we are going to attach the other side frame. Place the second side frame over the assembly in the proper direction, being careful to line up the holes for the cam rods and the wood dowels. When lined up, press down into place and tighten the cam locks. At this time, screw the middle frame supports on the bottom to the side frames as shown here using 30mm screws. Remember to repeat this process for both sides. Next, we will attach the lid. As you can see, the 4 cam rods insert into the side frame. When inserted into correct position, tighten the cam rods with cam locks. With the lid attached, it is now time to install the stemware holder. The stemware holder goes right over the rails that are on the lid. You will want to position the stemware holder about midway on the rails, and then attach using 4 30mm wood screws. Now it is time to assemble the drawer. Start by inserting 4 cam rods into the front drawer panel and 4 cam rods into the rear drawer panel, as shown here. Next, we will attach the front drawer panel to a side drawer panel by inserting the cam rods on the front drawer panel into the side drawer panel and tightening the cam locks. With the one side panel connected to the front panel, we will now place the drawer bottom in place, making sure the drawer bottom is seated properly in the slot provided. With the drawer bottom seated properly, we attach the other side panel and secure with cam locks. Then we take the back panel and put it in place. Then we fasten that with cam locks. And now the drawer is finished. An easy way to attach the rear door is to lay the cabinet on its side, put styrofoam under the door to achieve a correct height, line up hinge with pinholes, and then screw in 13mm wood screws, 6 screws for each hinge. Insert the lock through the inside hole in the top of the door and snap on the finish ring. Finish the lock installation by attaching the lock with 4 13mm screws from the inside. Next, attach the brass door pull to the door with the small machine screw provided. Now you can insert the drawer into the wine cabinet. The last thing we need to do is install the X-rack. Simply insert one panel slot into the other panel slot and push together as shown. Before inserting the X-rack, it is a good idea to use a bit of the packing paper on the edges to prevent any scratching. Slide it in, remove the paper, and congratulations, you've just finished. We hope you enjoy your new wine cabinet. Kelsey's collection, where great art and function meet.